Coming off the most insane game day in MLS history, where we saw 57 goals scored across 13 games, if you haven't already bought into supporting this league, man, I don't know what's going to do it for you. Now, I know not every game week is like what we just witnessed with 7 different games getting 5 goals or more, but it's still going to be a great time. And this week, along with the MLS action we normally get, it's also MLS All-Star week, where we will see the MLS All-Stars face up against the Liga MX All-Stars in Minnesota. And that game is where we are going to begin today's preview. MLS Liga MX. It's a great rivalry, a great story to see unfold, and should be a fun game. The past 5 years have been catching up for MLS. Liga MX unarguably held the best league in CONCACAF belt for quite some time, but things are starting to shake up now. With MLS's growth in talent intake, it's been a much more even playing field. We saw the USA pull off the double in 2021 with the Nations League and the Gold Cup wins over Mexico, and MLS also won last year's All-Star game over Liga MX. And the biggest signal for the future that could be is earlier this year, the Seattle Sounders became the first ever MLS team to win the CCL. So although nothing really is on the line here, bragging rights are up for grabs, and of course both leagues don't want to be on the losing side of this game. Although Tati Castellanos has pulled out due to his recent transfer to Spain, the front line still hosts dangerous talent with the likes of Dallas's Areola, DC's Taxi Fontes, Seattle's Jordan Morris. And along with that, we have some guys that I'm most excited to see in Cincinnati's Brandon Vasquez, who found himself added to the roster after Tati's departure and who has 18 combined goals and assists this season. We also have the captain of the squad, Chicharito, who although he hasn't had as good of a year as he did last year, he still has 9 goals and is always going to bring the energy when playing clubs from his home country. Similar to him, Carlos Vela's in the squad, and returning from injury, Raul Ruidiaz, and USMNT striker Jesus Ferreira. For me, even though he was a late shout, Brandon Vasquez is the most likely to make an impact in this game, as he's running with the momentum of 4 goals in his last 3 games. In the middle, we're looking at guys like Vasquez's partner in Cincinnati, Lucho Acosta, who leads the league in assists, Sebastian Driussi, who leads the league in goal contributions with 23, and other Stonewall players who will help orchestrate the middle of the park like Darlington Nagbe or LAFC's Ilie Sanchez. Reynoso is in form as well, and with his 9 goal contributions in his last 6 games, along with him being in his own stadium, he's going to be a threat. Along with Carlos Gil and Hany Mukhtar, this midfield is stacked. The defensive line is filled in with the Union's Jacob Glesnes, who leads the best defense in this league up until this point, the Red Bulls' Aaron Long, LAFC's Palacios, Montreal's Kamal Miller, and the MLS Defender of the Year for the past 2 seasons, Walker Zimmerman. For some attacking movement in the back line, DeAndre Yedlin finds his place along with Julian Araujo and one of the most exciting fullbacks in the league in Kai Wagner. And finally, the goalkeepers are also just as strong as the rest of the team, with Sean Johnson, Andre Blake, along with youngster Dane St. Clair. The dangers on this Liga MX side are also pretty great too, and they include CCL Golden Boot winner and Puma striker Juan Dineno, Chivas midfielder Alexis Vega, Tigres defender Jesus Angulo, and Santos' goalkeeper Carlos Acevedo. For my prediction of this game, I have to back MLS, but I do think it will be a tight contest. Depending on how serious each squad takes it, it's going to determine what kind of game we see, but I'm going to predict a multi-goal game in which the MLS All-Stars win it 3-2. Going into some true MLS action though, I want to talk about the New York Red Bulls taking on Orlando City, in which 2 of the most inconsistent teams as of recent try to figure out how the home stretch of their season will go. In New York's case, their inconsistent spell began after their very impressive away from home victory against Austin FC on the 24th of July. This game saw them walk out of Q2 Stadium with a 4-3 win over the second best team in the West. Right after that though, they traveled to Orlando and were totally outplayed in a 5-1 loss in the US Open Cup semi-final. Alright, one tough result there, but a home game against the Colorado Rapids, a team who struggles away from home, should be able to put them right back where they want to be. But it didn't work that way. Leading 3-1 at the half-hour mark, it led to a 5-4 loss, and then last week they let go of another chance to straighten their ship as they drew to DC, who are currently holding down the bottom of the Eastern Conference. But as I said, Orlando is in the same situation. Since their massive Open Cup win to book their place to the US Open Cup final, They've lost 2 on the bounce, with one being to that last place team DC United. They capped off their last game with a blowout at home as they fell to the Revolution 3-0. Now both teams need to get their mess together in order to close out their final 10 games of the season. Before this recent run of games for New York, I would have said that their strong suit this year has been both their attack and defense. But now with 8 goals conceded over their past 3 games, that's not as strong as it once was. But I think with a little time, they'll return to their roots as they still find themselves within the top 10 of least goals conceded on the year. For Orlando, they've been one of the hardest teams to understand in my opinion. After sitting in the playoff spots for the majority of the season, they're now in 8th place after 3 straight losses and 1 win in their past 8 games. With almost a whole new attack this year compared to the last, it seems as if their 24 games this season haven't yet brought this team on the same page. New signing Kara has found the net on 7 occasions, but his last goal came at the beginning of July, and recently has found himself on the bench in replacement for Benji Michel, who's only picked up 1 goal and an assist in 21 appearances. It appears Orlando's season is starting to crumble after seeing glimpses of it for the past few months. And if I had to bet on either team picking up the vital points in the chase of the playoffs, it's got to be the Red Bulls, and I'm taking New York in this game with a score of 2-0. And for the last in-depth matchup we'll take a look at, we're headed to the West as Nashville hosts Minnesota United at Geodis Park. Now, if this was the last 2 years, I'd bet that Nashville would win, or at least draw pretty easily because they're at home. I also would have a pretty hefty bet on them closing out Minnesota for the whole game, or at least hold them to 1 goal. But this isn't the last 2 years, and this is a new Nashville side that isn't finding life as easy as it used to be. After a difficult beginning of the season, Nashville is hoping that the opening of their new stadium would help them climb the conference with ease. I mean, heading into Geodis Park, they were holding on to a 20-game unbeaten streak at home. In all competitions, they were able to bring that tally to 25 until it fell apart to a last-place Sporting Kansas City side. Since then, they've lost 3 of their 6 home games and conceded 11 goals across all of those games. A far cry from the defensively sound home team that we were used to. And coming into town is a team that's on a goal-scoring run. Since returning from the international break, Minnesota United has been one of the hottest teams in the league, going from outside the playoff spots to sitting in 4th. 21 goals in 8 games is what this squad has put up. And unlike at the beginning of the year, they're finding ways to create opportunities even if their star playmaker Emmanuel Reynoso isn't in the squad. One of the biggest problems for Minnesota since their inception has been the striker position. But over the past few games, it's been getting figured out as Luis Amarilla is starting to find his stride in consistent minutes for the Loons. Amarilla has picked up 7 goal contributions over the past 4 games, and with Nashville looking a little bit more frail in their midfield and defense, it could be perfect timing for this Minnesota side to make another statement win in their push for a home playoff game. Going back to Nashville, I've been pretty bullish on backing them to clean up their form and return to the side we know them as. But each game week, I'm let down. A 5-game winless run and only 1 victory in their last 8 makes me question if they'll be able to fend off such a hot team coming to Geodis. I'm predicting a very tense matchup in Tennessee and one that will result in another draw for Nashville, and this time I'm going with 2-2. And finally, to wrap up this preview, here's a look into some other games worth watching this weekend. Cincinnati's on the move as they picked up a massive win against East leaders Philadelphia Union, but now they have to show that they can back it up with a winnable game at home against Atlanta United. New York City FC is looking to rebound after 2 disappointing results as they travel to Miami, and with Tati's departure still affecting the squad, will someone emerge as the game changer for this team that they are looking for? And finally, keep your eyes on the match that always gives us the improbable as the Seattle Sounders welcome Real Salt Lake to Lumen Field. In the comments, let me know what game you're looking to this weekend the most, and let me know, do you think the MLS All-Stars will come away with a win on Wednesday? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.